The Spurs did make a signing. So again, this was announced on Friday. The Spurs signed Cam Reynolds to a 10-day contract. This his name may be familiar if you've been watching the Austin Spurs and also the Spurs at the beginning of the season, because Cam was signed to the Spurs in training camp, and he also played in the preseason with the team, with the San Antonio team. Then they had they have to cut the roster down to guaranteed players and the two-way players. So they did waive him in December, and so he didn't play in the regular season with the team. However, then he joined the G League bubble with the Austin Spurs, and in the bubble he averaged 16.1 points, 4.6 rebounds, and one and a half assists in 29 minutes. The roster is now full for at least the next 10 days at 17 players, so they can no longer add a player right now. And if they like what they see in Cam, well, then they can try to re-sign him to another 10-day contract once this one expires. But if they do two 10-day contracts, which is 20 days from now, then they would, if they want to keep him for the rest of the season, they'd have to do a fully rest of the season deal. Some reasoning why they might have done this. Lonnie Walker the fourth, we know, has been bothered by a wrist injury. He's missed the last two games, and he also missed the Spurs set him out during a game. I think it was against the Cavs. And then also Keita Bates-Diop got injured. His hamstring, he had a hamstring injury, and he's kind of just been on a game-to-game basis where he's been out each time. The Spurs haven't really put out a timetable for him. But anyway, without two players to play at the three and the four, or in the case of Diop, the Spurs did need some depth there. So let's go ahead and just get kind of your intel, Mike, and from what you saw. You cover the Austin Spurs along in the podcast, should I say, with Forever Toros with John Diaz and Jonas Clark. So how do you, I'm going to ask you a few questions here. How did he play in the bubble, in your opinion?
I think he did really well once he got a lot more opportunities. I mean, at first, the team was really about Trey and Luka, and they were the ones that were, it seems like surprising everybody. And so, his opportunities weren't, he didn't have as many then, but as soon as they were called up, he kind of became the, like, go-to. It was him and Robert were the kind of go-to, and then I think the Kings called Woodard back up, so then it was Cam. He was kind of like that main guy, and he was able to step into that role and did really well. So, I liked what I saw him, and he's a pretty versatile guy. I mean, he's more of a 2 to 3, but he also played some 4 um, in the bubble. So when they went to smaller lineups using like Nate Renfro as the center, they'd go to him, and he was able to, get in and actually step in and do a good job. Not only scoring, but he was able to get some nice rebounds, especially in their last game, which is something I didn't see as part of his game.
What do you think he's going to bring to this team? I mean, I don't think he'll be able to beat out anybody in the rotation, but what do you think in terms of, like, if the team goes down by a lot of points, or somebody gets injured or something like that? What do you think his way of playing is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think you're right on that. I mean, I think if anything, it gives them another body they can put out there in practice to push guys. I think it allows them to take an extended look at somebody who performed well. Just looking at his last game before they lost, he had 26 points, 14 rebounds. His 3-point shooting isn't like anything. It's not something I would count on. I mean, but he can shoot from deep. But I think he's a lot better on the move and things like that, and trying to get into the paint or trying to score mid range. But again, he's just another player that can play several positions that will give them. I think just someone they can look at for the future. I mean, he's obviously enough of a talent that he did enough in that short time span that they decided to give him another look. And there were a few other players, but he's the one that really kind of stood out to me. I think the other guy could have been Nate Renfro, because I just like his game, even though his numbers don't pop. But I think with Cam, they knew enough of him going back to training camp, because he was a training camp, and so
Mm-hmm.
again, it's just a chance to give him an extended look, and possibly gets to get in there, blowout situations, things like that, especially with some banged up bodies right now.
Yeah, and I really feel because of this, this grueling second half schedule, I really feel that there is a good chance he can end up getting a second 10 day, and then maybe even getting a roster spot for the rest of the season. The reason why is just because I really feel like Pop's going to really watch the minutes going forward now. In these last games up until the playoff stretch, and the reason for that is just because we've seen where the Spurs since the All-Star break, since they came back from All-Star break, they've had some good wins early on, where they won about they were up like 30 plus points at times, and then of course we've seen them starting to get blown out here and there in some of these other games. And so I really feel like Pop, as soon as Pop kind of knows where a game's heading, in the fourth quarter, I think that he wants to have those players available, like how he's been playing Trey Jones, Luka, Samanic, Keita Bishop before he got injured. And so he just wants to have more bodies available, like you mentioned, in the event that, he wants to just really, the core rotation players, he wants to limit their legs as much as possible if they don't have to be out there on the floor. And so I think that's why, whether it's Cam getting a second 10-day or them signing someone after his 10-day expires, I really think that they will finish the season at some point with the 15th player. I don't think that they'll leave that spot vacant. And again, financially, it's okay now for them to sign a player because they have that room under the tax, with Aldridge giving back so much money on his buyout.